Morning, guys. Welcome. It's Corrupted
Morning and Draco.
with Ramen for the Soul. And I apologize for my voice today and the sniffles. I'm a little under the weather. Just got over a cold.
COVID?
Nah, it wasn't COVID. It wasn't COVID. I know that much. But yeah, I just got over a cold, so my voice sounds a little weird. And I'm a sniffle every so often, so I apologize in advance. But
good. Ain't no drugs getting dead over here.
But today we're on episode 36 through 54, because 54 through 60 is the first bit of filler. First of the 91 episodes of filler, I think. I think there's exactly 91 episodes of filler. But so we left off at the start of Arlong Park, and the first thing that happens is Nezumi, the rat face, dick face. That's gonna be his nickname, rat face, dick face, because his nose is super long. The rat faced marine that's paid off by Arlong to ignore his pirating.
The pubes on his face.
Yeah, that's a dick face. It works.
Yeah, just thought about
it. He shows up to steal Nami's money. We're not explicitly told Arlong told him, but Nezumi let it slip that he knows exactly how much money it is. So we know it's Arlong because Arlong's the only one that's not from the village that knows how much money it is. Because I don't know if we covered it last week, but Nami has been pretending to be an Arlong pirate so that she can save up 100 million berries to buy the freedom of her village from Arlong. Because Arlong is a massive piece of shit that kills people because they don't have money. Yeah, it's not because they don't have money. It's because he's racist.
Yeah,
let's be real.
Bro got one of the craziest superiority complexes ever, and we're gonna get into that.
Yeah, he's racist unless you make him a fuck ton of money. Like he's less racist against Nami because she basically prints money because she's the greatest map maker that he's ever seen. So, another thing that's funny that happens shortly after that is Luffy sees Genzo when he's leading Nezumi to
Nami's house
and Bellamere, Nami's mom's orchard. He sees his pinwheel and says, man, that's a cool pinwheel. I just got an idea for a new move.
Literally. That quick.
And don't worry, that's going to come up later. Nami shows back up.
Gets inspiration from the simplest things.
Yeah. Nami sees Luffy in town. She gets mad at him for not leaving because she doesn't want any help. And then she realizes that Nezumi's after a fortune, so she runs up after him. That's where she beats the crap out of a couple of them with her staff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Nezumi lets it slip that Arlong's the one that told him about the money.
And how he does that, he just tells the amount, like the 100 million. Say it shouldn't be that hard to find 100 million bears. And him saying that is almost like ain't nobody else that knows it's 100 million besides the villagers in Arlong. And the villagers ain't finna sell themselves out. So yeah. You immediately see that, and now it's like, okay, Arlong's behind this whole thing. Like, makes sense because he always claimed, "Oh, I don't break my promises, but you'll slow the goal."
Well, and like technically, he's not breaking his promise in like the most technical of senses.
The most technical,
because he's not stealing the money. Dickface McGee is stealing the money, and so he didn't touch the money. So he was still going to get the money no matter what, though, because Nezumi was only getting like 20% of it or some shit.
Yeah, like 20%.
So he would have got 20 million berries. But we found out later, like 20 million berries isn't that much money, so why would he go through all that trouble? Because like, it sounds like a lot of money, but that's like $10,000.
Yeah.
It's not even $10,000.
Yeah.
Because I think the berry's like close to the yen. And like what it's worth.
Yeah.
So like, I don't get why people go through so much trouble because when
greed.
I'm talking about for such little. Like, if you're gonna be greedy, go for it. Actually go for it. Don't be greedy for 10,000. Like, if you're gonna be greedy for like millions. Like,
yeah. Because I was gonna use Nami as an example, but I don't think Nami ever went for anything less than $1 million. And if she did, it's like she had them scores set up to where she was at least gonna get $1 million a day.
Yeah, because the smallest thing we've seen her still so far is like 2 million.
Yeah.
So
I definitely see that.
And then, Luffy doesn't get why Nami's so mad that he refuses to leave. Because Luffy's dumb.
Yep.
Nami tries to get them out of her orchard. That's not a euphemism for anything. It's literally her mom's orchard.
Tangerine
orchards, yeah. And Genzo's like, you've done enough. You have to know that there's no point now. You struggled so hard carrying your lives on her back this whole time.
Because literally Genzo and them been trying to fight. The only reason they ain't fought was for Nami.
Yeah, that way Nami's sacrifice died in vain. But after Dickface McGee stole her money, she was ready to rip Arlong's head off. And then Genzo's just like, nah, you stay here.
Fight. You stay here.
Yeah, they put all the villagers together and they go try to start a revolution.
And that's when Nami absolutely has one of the most gut-wrenching freaking mental breakdowns that I've seen in a lot of animes.
Yeah, she keeps trying to cut her tattoo off.
Repeatedly. That girl shouldn't even have an arm anymore. For real, with how she was going at her arm.
Yeah. Because she can't see it. She's just stabbing her arm.
She's just hitting it. And old boy Luffy.
Yeah, Luffy walks up, stops her arm, sees her crying, and he's just like, what's wrong? Well, actually, I don't even think he asked her.
He don't even say nothing.
I think he just, not looks at her.
Yeah, she throws the sand at him, telling him to leave again because she's still in her despair. Then she just breaks down even more, seeing how he takes it, and that's when she finally asks him. I think he just says, who
made you cry? Or something like that.
I think she finally asks him to help.
She does ask him for help. And he's just like, hell yeah, we're going to go beat the shit out this man.
What was crazy is how literally you follow from when he first laid in that spot. He didn't move. Usopp didn't move. Sanji didn't move. And Zoro didn't move. None of them took a step until the captain said so. And even before that, bro, Johnny and Yosaku were trying to get Zoro to leave because they knew that Arlong was looking for him and stuff. And Zoro was like, nah, he's the one that make the decisions. I'm not going anywhere. And I always liked the fact that they didn't move until Luffy moved. And that's when you get the night parade of 100 crackheads going.
I wouldn't call it crackheads. They're just tired of it.
Oh, you don't know the joke? Oh, man, you got to watch Mugiwara. Gotta watch Mugiwara. Mugiwara no Goofy.
Nami asked Luffy for help, and his reaction is, he says, of course, that's what friends do, and then he yells he's gonna pay. Him being Arlong, obviously. So Luffy goes and collects the rest of his boys.
Yep.
And it looks like Arlong's in for a rough afternoon. When they arrive to Arlong Park, Johnny, talking about the Straw Hat, says, those are the faces of the 4 men who are here to change your destiny. Burn their image into your memory. Because they're freaking out. The villagers are freaking out about who they are. And Johnny and Yosaku are gassing them up. There's no other way to say it other than gassing them up. And then as soon as Luffy gets there, he punches down the door, which, I've been there's so many different metaphors you can see that as, and
the one I was mainly thinking of was how, I'm just how he really went in there, forced his way in, and didn't even know who Arlong was at that point. He had never seen Arlong at all until Nami just told him go help, and he goes bust down the door. Which one of you is Arlong? Imagine nigga freaking busting open the gate of hell saying, which one of you is Satan?
Yeah, there's just so many different ways to look at it, because you could see it. He's breaking down the barrier between him and fishmen, because like the big thing about fishmen are that they're so much stronger than a normal human, but here's 3 humans that are even stronger than the fishmen,
right?
Sort of thing. Like it's like proof that the barrier that the fishmen built between themselves and normal people shouldn't exist. Or maybe it's a metaphor for breaking into the gates of hell to face the devil. Or maybe it's a metaphor for... you could also look at it as a metaphor for... Because this happens a lot in One Piece. The lower class breaking down the barrier to the people that are exploiting them. You know?
You're right.
So, that's probably what it is. Just because, like, that's the primary thing Oda does. Like,
Very
his
much
primary
so.
metaphor. But
Very much.
there's so many different ways to look into it. I'm of the opinion that it's the like, thesis of it, like, Arlong's racism being stupid. I'm of the opinion that that's the best way to look at it.
I see it, because I do notice that as soon as like Luffy comes in, he starts really down talking like a lot of the stuff that he's doing. Like he talks about how stupid a lot of them look, and like just how he always says how he's gonna be king of the pirates and stuff like that. And then you got Arlong being, oh well, you got to get past me if you want to do that, looking ass. But like, yeah, I definitely see that. Like, because his ideals are being challenged at this point.
Yeah,
and he really does refuse to give up his ideals throughout this whole fight.
Yeah, like, because, like, Luffy is, every fight that he's in, he's placed his ideals or his, like, his belief system against someone else, and then they basically just fight until whoever's belief system is the winner. And we see when Haki gets introduced, that's reinforced.
Yeah.
Because Haki is just your willpower.
Yep.
So that just reinforces that system of Luffy testing his belief system or his dream against everybody else's. And since Luffy believes everyone should be free, that inherently makes him hate things that are racist.
Especially Arlong, because you think about everything Arlong stands for. He's one of the prisoners. If I had to pick a prison that he would be, like, you know, like have the most prowess in, it'd be like a prison of like the mind, because of just how much he thinks humans are inferior, that he does everything behind the idea that fishmen are superior to humans. And in playing with their minds, he ends up playing with their lives. So, like, if it, like, take how he handled Bellamere and them with going into the village, taking them, oh, we're going to kill you as long as you pay us money, though. So the idea of killing them is first and paying the money is second.
But also, you could also see it as, like, he's enslaved the island.
Yeah. But
like,
deep, though.
But no, if you think about it, they are actually, like, somebody that's enslaved. Like, you're doing labor for them, but the labor has monetary value.
Yeah.
So you either generate me monetary value or I kill you.
Yep.
Is what, like, so it's kind of like he, like, borderline.
So it's greed. He got a greed aspect to him with that superiority complex.
Yeah. And when the villagers keep talking about how they want to be freed from Arlong's influence. So, like, you could see it as like a form of slavery.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they fuck up just a little bit, like, they're not allowed to keep weapons or anything. Right. And that reminds me of the slaves in Brazil back in the day. That were that's why they came up with capoeira, because they weren't allowed to learn to fight, and they weren't allowed to carry weapons or anything. So they just started dancing, and they turned the dancing into fighting, and that's how capoeira. It's like a similar system, like making sure that they don't have, like, Ginzo gets in a ton of trouble for them having weapons. So
Makes sense.
I think it fits very well there. And Luffy's just fundamentally opposed against anyone forcing people to live like he's fundamentally opposed to people not being free. Like Luffy doesn't vibe with that.
Exactly. And
Luffy.
we see, because in that whole fight, because one thing that the fishmen talk about is just how messed up that the crew is once they fight them in water. And one thing that we see when Sanji goes into the water and that big buff ugly fishman dude,
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name
one.
either, but the dude's face is just so memorable. But he tries to stop Sanji from getting out of the water as soon as he gets in there, because he knows, oh, y'all are messed up when y'all in the water. You want to try to fight a fishman in water? I just remembered Horty. But yeah, the prison aspect, just how they keep him from being free. Because when Sanji tries to get his air, it's like, I need to get air, go to the surface to get air. And it's like, no, you're staying right here. You're not going anywhere. At that point, they had already put a weight on Luffy and got him in the water. So I see those aspects in the same fight. Smaller scale, yes, but it gets bigger.
But yeah, I think that shows that, or I think that speaks to it being more of a Luffy breaking down the barrier, the artificial barrier to like the breaking down part of the racism, because later on, like after seeing how well he gets treated by like Luffy and them, because Luffy doesn't like Hachi becomes a good guy. Like we learn that he loses his racism.
Right.
I guess is the best way to say it. Like he learns that racism is
not
terrible. Yeah. And that later on in 400 episodes.
Definitely later on that's gonna be crazy. I see that now.
Yeah,
that's
so
gonna be crazy.
That's what I see it as, Luffy breaking down the barriers between like
fishmen and humans.
Yeah, fishmen, because it's the thing that separates them.
Yeah, because through the whole fight, like we say, Arlong never gives up that idea that fishmen are better than humans. To the point that one thing I did notice,
it makes me underestimate Luffy too.
It makes him underestimate Luffy, but never even acknowledge his underestimation like most people would. Like, he sits there and talk the whole fight about how fishmen are superior to humans, that, I can take out people with one bite. Y'all aren't strong enough to take a lick. But Luffy keeps getting up, and his people keep saving him. And that was one thing that was really nice, that he ended up mentioning, that he'd be nothing without his friends, because with his friends, he knows he needs them to help them get to his next level, which, of course, is a trait of the Ubermensch. But when we see Arlong literally never giving up, even to the point where right when Luffy finds out about Nami's room, it's like the whole demeanor of the fight changed.
Yeah, it's almost like Luffy's not even trying until like the switch in his mind. He's just like, that's how you've enslaved my friend, sort of thing.
Yep. He sees, literally, he went into that room and he saw Nami's
he's just playing with Arlong most of the fight. Like,
yeah.
So the fight kicks off with Luffy walks up. He's like, which one of you is Arlong? And Arlong's just like, what you want? And then he just immediately decks him in the face. And he's just like, and he says, that's for making our navigator cry.
Yep.
And then they summon Moo Moo that Sanji and Luffy beat up earlier. Moo Moo shows up.
Remember Sanji and
gets
Luffy.
Scared. And Arlong's just like, you really gonna run away? Well, what if I have to do something about that later? And Moo Moo's just like, fuck, I gotta fight him. And then Luffy tries out his new move that he got the idea from Ginzo's pinwheel. He calls it pinwheel. Gum Gum pinwheel. But Luffy's not very bright, guys. So what he does is he sticks his feet
in the ground,
like 6 inches deep in the concrete, so he can wind himself up and beat everybody up with Momu. But the problem is, it makes him stuck. So he spends the next
like 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah, next 3 or 4 episodes, freaking stuck in concrete. But seeing Momo get thrown around like that, Genzo says it's as if the gods themselves are fighting.
Yep, I noted that too. It was like, because he was in such awe, because nobody had came to that village and stood up to Arlong like that. And when he saw somebody, even because he talks about how Luffy was able to move Momo, which even a big feat in of itself, but he's able to move Momo, and he mentions this, like, he's never seen anyone fight like that. It's like the gods themselves are at war, and that's just how crazy Luffy is. Don't get it twisted. He just crazy, and he do crazy stuff. He ain't even think about that. He just saw a pinwheel and say, you know what? What if I just spin myself? That's
like
it.
A pinwheel.
Like a pinwheel. Except he just grabbed a cow sea beast and did it. And it worked.
And then Arlong's first shot in the fight is he walks over to Luffy, pulls the slab of concrete up, and then Luffy tries to bite him. Arlong bites Luffy, and Luffy goes, okay, dude, I can do that too, and then bites the crap out of Arlong, which I think is probably the first time anyone's ever done that to Arlong. Like, giving him a piece of his own medicine, like, to the point where Arlong's just like, ow, that legitimately hurts. And then he gets mad and throws him in the ocean.
Yep.
But I just love that, what's it called? That Luffy's just like, okay, you're going to be a bitch and bite? I'll bite you back. He was like, he's got those sharp teeth and everything, but Luffy doesn't care. And he does just as much damage to Arlong as Arlong does to him, because, like, the bite marks, like, we never see any blood after that moment on his arm for that particular bite. But he bit Arlong hard enough for Arlong yells, ouch, and then gets mad and throws Luffy in the water.
And then he just kind of tries to just, glaze it off, talking about you don't have superior jaw muscles like me, so you can't do as much damage to you. But dude,
why the hell did it hurt so bad?
Why did it hurt, dude? Why did you yell? That's literally the superiority complex, just how bad it is. Like, you see this dude doing some stuff to you, it hurt, you yelled out like the little sissy that you are, and it didn't hurt because you don't have superior jaws, little human. Get up out of here.
And so he throws Luffy in the water, and so then we have a three-way battle between the Straw Hat guys.
Yep.
And Zoro's still hurt from his duel with Mihawk.
And that was so funny when Arlong picked up Zoro and, what's under these bandages? And he literally looks in horror like, dude, you're not even supposed to be alive.
And he
tell
realizes,
me my fishmen were losing to a dude that should be dead? And then it goes silent. It's like, you know what it would be like if he was at full power,
it makes you wonder what Zoro have been able, because Luffy's clearly not trying when we get to the end. Because when he gets to the end of the fight, it looks like he's trying at certain points, but when we get to the end of the fight, you can tell, he's done playing because he gets so pissed off. But it makes you wonder, would Zoro have been if Zoro was at 100%? Because of how, easily he dispatches Hachi. How would Zoro... it makes you think that Zoro would have beat
them with ease.
Arlong.
With ease.
Because Zoro beats Hachi. The only reason it's difficult is because he has a fever, and he has a massive gash on his stomach that's open.
Across his chest, too.
Yeah. From
the top of his shoulder
to hip.
Yeah.
It's big. He has staples. He doesn't have normal stitches.
He takes Hachi out with one technique.
And then...
he Dragon Twister. Takes the swords away, literally blasts him off like
And
Team
those
Rocket.
Aren't normal swords. They each weigh, what do you say, 30 kilograms or some shit?
Something like that.
I think it's 100 kilograms.
Yeah.
It's something crazy.
Something really crazy.
And then Zoro with normal swords. He
swords
just has...
that aren't even his.
Yeah, he just has his normal sword
Yosuke
that he got from
Johnny's.
Kuna. And then he has Yosuke and Johnny's sword.
Yep.
So they're not even katanas, which is what he's used to. They're basically giant hatchets. It's what they look like.
Yep.
And
real.
He just beats Hachi, and how he beats Hachi is interesting because it shows him in the light of the sun, the sun shines down directly on the Zoro, and it's I think it's a metaphor that Luffy's not done just because he's in the water because of the devil. Like the implication is his devil fruit's gonna kill him in the water. But I think when it shows like the sunlight shining on Zoro, it's like the sun's favor, like Luffy's favor, and it's basically telling us like Luffy's coming back. Just watch over him, Zoro. Like, and then
I like that.
Yeah, and then Sanji fights the fishman karate guy
In the water.
Well, first he fights him out of the water because he like punches Sanji through the wall, and Sanji's just like, "Man, I haven't been hit that hard in forever." Seth still kicks harder though.
Yeah, I remember that.
And while they're fighting out of the water, and Chu, that's the one of the guys' names that I can remember is Chu, chases after Usopp because Usopp like fucking talks so much shit that it makes him chase him out into the woods.
That was a funny fight. I'm not even gonna lie. That was such a funny fight.
And then Ginzo and Nami's sister
Nojiko.
Nojiko. Yeah, I don't know. I almost said Nezuko. I don't know
It's
why.
a lot of between Nezumi, Nojiko. Like it's a lot of the syllables match up for sure.
Ginzo and Nojiko go underwater to try to break the concrete on Luffy. They can't.
Ginzo went down first while Nojiko held Luffy's head, or did they not?
No, they both went down at first, and they're just like, wait a second, we can just stretch his head out.
Yeah.
And because they couldn't break the concrete, which is kind of a plot hole, because your powers are supposed to be... Because we know that's ocean water in that thing. But... hopefully it gets explained later. Or it could be one of those things where he like comes up for the reason why later.
But we see him
because
stretch his
Arlong
head out
says
so he
something
can
about
breathe.
it.
Yeah,
because Arlong says something
guy.
about it. Because what's he called? Luffy's in there long enough to where he passes out from not being able to breathe.
They still have to like resuscitate him underwater and stuff.
What if that's what it is? It's that like your powers still work when you're submerged if you pass out from lack of oxygen. Arlong makes a comment of it.
I can't say that. I'm not older.
After like Sanji and Zoro, well, Zoro beats Hachi, Sanji's still fighting what's his name, but Arlong makes a comment like they're hated by the sea. He's supposed to drown, so we don't have to worry about him anymore, sort of thing. But Luffy and his men have brought hope to the village. Like, you can hear it in the villagers' voices. Like, I think the doc says something about it. I think it's the doc. Because we don't learn his name. Everyone just calls him Doc. The village doctor. And then... what's it called? It cuts to Chu chasing Usopp. Usopp pretends to be dead, and Usopp like gets up and is just like, "Man, I'm gonna tell everyone I gave this man the fight of his life." And he's trying to like convince himself in what he can say, you know. And he's just like, "Man."
Nah, when Usopp freaking hammered that man like 1,000 times, you know, he does the one thing that nobody ever does in horror movies and actually tries to finish his opponent. Which I found that was hella funny.
The big thing is like he admits that being around Luffy is like the driving force that makes him go, "Hey, dude, I'm still alive. You're a weakling. That shot didn't do anything," and then continue the fight. But like before, if it wasn't for Luffy, he wouldn't have done that. He would have been like, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna just continue to play dead." But that particular thing, being around Luffy, gave him the strength to not pretend to be dead. Sanji and Zoro knock out their prospective opponent, and Arlong easily beats them by throwing water darts at him. He even says like, "Oh, you're so weak. I can kill you simply by playing with a little water." And he looks really stupid. Let's be real. It looked dumb.
Yeah, nah, he looked really dumb.
Luffy wakes up finally. He gets the skinny from Ginzo. what's going on because they dragged his head out of the water so he could breathe. Genzo's just like, your crew's getting their butts kicked by Arlong. You need to snap out of it. Sanji goes underwater, breaks the concrete, and Luffy's finally back in the fight. Okay, there you go. Sorry, we had a small little thing with the audio. But he comes from the sun in the sunlight, and it shows him as the sun, he becomes the sun in the shot for a couple of seconds, and that's the archetype that the Ubermensch has. Is the archetype of the sun, the king, and the self. So it just shows that he's the image of the sun. Not necessarily that he is the sun yet, but he's slowly becoming like the sun, which is very Ubermenschy. Patent trademark pending. Luffy lands a couple of combos on Arlong, and then he starts stretching, which is kind of ironic. You thought about that? He probably doesn't need to stretch because he has infinite flexibility. And then Arlong's like, fishmen are so much better than people, speech. And Luffy's just like, dude, I really don't care that we're different species. I'm just kicking your ass because you made one of my friends cry. Arlong keeps trying to make it a race thing, and Luffy's just like, you realize I'm only mad at you because you made my friend cry. I don't care that you're racist. I love that. He's just like, he's like, you being a fishman means nothing to me. I couldn't care less. And then the fight continue. Luffy says, because Arlong makes fun of his connection to his friends, Luffy says, as a matter of fact, I'm useless without my friends to help me out. Just reiterating how important his friends are to him. Luffy lands a solid hook on Arlong, shatters his teeth, but it turns out that doesn't matter because Arlong's teeth are magic. Friggin' stupid. That's not how sharks' teeth work, Oda. They just happen to have...
They don't grow back. They just have rows.
Yeah, they just have so many rows. Well, they'll probably grow back over time in the back.
But not that fast.
Yeah.
But if you don't know anything about Oda's zoology, Oda's zoology is out there.
Yeah. But, and Arlong's, talking mad shit about his friends still. But, you could just tell, Luffy's just nah, dude, I don't see people... having people that have my back as a weakness. I see it as a strength. Yep. Because it tells how good my character is, because if they'll vouch for me, that means I'm a vouch-worthy guy. And Arlong just uses people.
All the Straw Hats definitely vouch for Luffy that he will be king of the pirates. Nobody will disagree with that on the Straw Hat crew.
And then Arlong's teeth grow back repeatedly. And Literally. It's funny because Luffy sees it and he picks one up and puts it in his mouth, which is kind of gross.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie.
But it's funny.
That was funny, but I cringed looking at freaking Arlong use his own teeth as fucking maracas.
Yeah, that's pretty lame.
That shit was
cringy. What the hell was that, dog? Stop it.
But nah, that's some Luffy junk right there. I expect Luffy
and he bites him with his own teeth.
Yeah.
That was the best part. He just goes, chomp. I bet you didn't see that coming, dog. And then Arlong bites Luffy's arm.
His elbow.
And Luffy uses it as an opportunity and slams him face first into the concrete.
To get him to let him go.
Yeah. And Arlong gets salty, so he's just like, I'm going to use the water because I'm stronger in the water. And he uses, what do they call it? Shark dart. Shark darts.
Oh, no, you talking about the droplets.
No. I think he calls the attack shark darts. When he, flies.
Yeah. You talking about with his...
Yeah, with his nose.
With his fucking blade nose. Freaking crazy.
Yeah, and he keeps like attacking from the sea and from everywhere. And everyone's just like, he should hide. And Luffy's just like, nah, bro, I'm going to stand in the open. I'm faster than this, man. And
I think
like also he wants to see where he's coming from because he wants to break Arlong's nose. Like he specifically says, like, I'm going to break this man's nose.
He does it too.
Eventually. Yeah.
He does it too.
As they're going around, Luffy starts getting the upper hand, so Arlong decides to be a little bitch and pulls out his sword, the Shark Zaw, which is just a metal rod with sharp fangs or fins. I'm not sure. I assume it's supposed to be fangs.
Yeah. Fangs.
It's basically just a giant saw. He chases Luffy around. They end up in Nami's room.
Yeah.
And when he realizes that they're in Nami's room, switch just...
Like, it wasn't even just that he was in Nami's room. I think it was when he looked on them sheets and saw them things was soaked in blood when he pointed that out.
When he's holding the feather and he's just like, is this Nami's room? And you can see there's like little blood spots on the feather and stuff on her quill. And you can just, like, something just snaps in Luffy. He's just like, okay, we're not doing this anymore.
I also found it hella interesting that when he started, because he started throwing stuff out, the first thing he threw out was the desk.
Yeah, because he realizes that the only way for Nami to actually be done with Arlong is all the stuff that she did for Arlong, and all the stuff Arlong had that was hers needed to be destroyed. That way she could truly be free from him. And
as they're throwing all that stuff out, because the way they itemized it too, because they threw out a desk. Everyone on the bottom was looking like, oh my God, I thought that was Straw Hat. And they're like, oh, it's just a desk. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And you look at Nami like, no, that's kind of where she did everything.
Nami understands what he's doing.
So he throws the desk out, and then now he just goes crazy. He's throwing everything out, messing up the charts. He's messing up the maps that he's done.
And then he shatters Arlong's sword.
Yep.
And he's just like, so what is your plan? Like, why are you being like this with Nami? And then he gives him this whole plan to enslave humans and make an empire and everything. And he's going to use Nami to do it. And Luffy's just like, you can't use people, dude. Especially my friends. Like, them fighting words. Like, you ain't getting out of this alive.
You ain't getting out of this alive, bucko.
Arlong bites his neck. And Luffy breaks his nose. And Arlong, bragged about his nose being unbreakable and everything. So it's, a big deal that Luffy just grabs that shit and goes...
out of here.
Just yanks it to the side.
Yep.
And Luffy hits him with a gum battle axe. So basically just an axe kick.
But, it goes...
Yeah,
straight up in the air.
Straight up through the air. And he then, breaks through the Arlong Park.
He was looking at it because Arlong was saying how... oh, he's about to bring down Arlong Park, and it goes back to what I was saying, how he never gives up his superiority, even up in this part. He's like, a mere human could never destroy Arlong Park. Like, bro, do you not, even at this point, are you still not convinced? It was at that point that the whole racism idea behind Arlong just came into complete fruition. Because, bro, all this stuff that done, this man done bit you with your own teeth. He done broke your sword, and he done broke your nose that was supposedly unbreakable.
And your ultimate attack didn't do anything to him?
Your ultimate attack did nothing to him. And even in the face of him saying he finna bring down the whole park, you still say a mere human can't bring down Arlong Park.
You can look at Arlong Park as his symbol of superiority above humans.
Yep.
And so some dude, some crazy dude is just like, yep, that's a fake symbol.
Just bring the whole hammer down.
Axe kicks him all the way through Arlong Park.
He literally guillotines Arlong Park. Symbol of a guillotine. Literally.
Well, don't say it because some people, because it's a fight. No, not simple, but guillotine, because a lot of people might think when they're in the context of a fight, a guillotine choke.
And nah.
So
a guillotine was first before a guillotine choke was a thing. If somebody really going that far, yeah, I'm talking to y'all. Guillotine was first before the guillotine choke.
Yeah,
We
that's
know what
where
a
the name
guillotine
comes
is.
from. We get that. I'm just saying, like, in the context of a fight, it's, like, a little different. But he
Talking about
basically
anime.
just hits him in the neck with the friggin' axe kick. And the thing is, like, he says to himself, I've destroyed Nami's jail cell. Like, that was the main thing that mattered to
Yep.
him.
I even looked at it like he was, cause one thing about it, because it was different when he said all the things in the room had to go. Then when it changed over, no, the entirety of Arlong Park has to go. And that was resonated heavy because, like, we ain't just talking about just one guy's hideout. Talking about this was his friend's, air quotes, home at some point. Or, air quotes, life.
Well,
at
it's more
some
like,
point.
it might have been the home, but it's more like jail.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. No, 100%. Her own hell.
Yeah.
Own jail, her own hell.
And then Arlong Park crumbles down on top of Luffy and Arlong. And then, remember, there's dark clouds around the island,
Yep.
like storm clouds around the island. But they start to fade and the sun comes out. But right as the
Yep.
sun comes out and shines down, Luffy comes up out the rubble. Like, the rubble falls off of him. And it's just more of the... See, look, Luffy's like the sun. Luffy rose from the gray, like the rubble's gray. And so just like the
Out
sun
of the
rises
clouds,
from
quote,
the
unquote.
clouds, he out of the rubble, and the sun shines down on him, and he yells, "Nami, you'll always be my friend."
And that's what I was saying, because, like, I feel like that was a good line to throw right after that, because also, like, that was Nami's life at one point. Like, at one point, that's all she knew. That's the only thing that kept her from being herself. That's the thing that kept her from reaching her full potential of wanting to complete her own dream. So him coming out saying, Nami, you'll always be my friend. In other words, I just destroyed this old life for you. You'll always be a part of my life. And I'll always be a part of yours.
Yeah, which is
Ubermensch.
very. Sorry, I thought I had to sneeze. I was
Yeah,
gonna
man.
say something, but then it was like when you have a cold, like your brain's is like you gotta sneeze, and then it stops.
Like, everything stops when you have to sneeze. Like,
then-
all you can think about is you
yeah.
have to sneeze until you sneeze.
And then you don't sneeze, and then you're just like, God, I hate everything. And then Dickface McGee and his corrupt crew show up,
Yeah, fuck this guy.
and he's just like, we're here to get all the money. And the Straw Hats are just like, no, you're here to get your ass beat. And so the Straw Hats jack them up.
Literally, Nami, like, he came out saying, oh, I'm gonna take this, I'm taking all this money, all the stuff that was promised to me, I'm taking that, and all the money that was gonna go to y'all, I'm taking that. Nami's like, first off, you finna clean up this mess, all this money belonged to the island, and didn't you take $100 million from me? Boy, I need all that back right now. Like, right now. Boy, I should beat the mess out that man. Put a stick in his face.
And then they run off, and he's just like, he threatens the Straw Hats that they're now enemies of the world government. But remember, for our metaphor, the world government is the institutions that make you the last man. So he's
Yeah.
basically saying, you've become an enemy of the last man. Like, everything that wants to create the last man is now gunning for you, which is how it is with the Ubermensch.
Yep, and the Ubermensch, one trait of the Ubermensch is that he will not be a part of the herd, and he will not be a grave digger. So the government is the herd. They always want to kill people who going against the herd because they trying to breed the last man. So you go against the last man.
Well, they're trying to
going against
protect the
government.
last man.
Yeah.
Because they have to
Tomato,
remember the
tomato,
celestial
kind of,
dragons are the last men.
Yeah.
So they're there to live out the will of the last man. And the last man doesn't like the Ubermensch existing
Nope.
because it shows how much they suck.
Yep. And they, like, yeah, Luffy really does. If Luffy represents freedom, last man gonna represent tyranny and enslavement and
Well, not necessarily. It's so Luffy represents
freedom.
not just free, the big thing, the Overman is like the last man represents nihilism, and the Ubermensch represents of love of life, because nihilism is
Freedom.
Isn't the love of life, but not like freedom is the mechanism in which you get to love life, which is why Luffy likes
But you
freedom.
wouldn't love life unless you had freedom.
But yeah, you can't love life without freedom. Yeah. But I'm saying like freedom's like
it's the simple. I'm talking in simple terms.
I'm just talking about for the metaphor.
Yeah.
Like
I'm a paraphrase master. Please excuse me.
But yeah, the Ubermensch is just super nihilist. So if there's somebody that loves life to its like ultimate expression, like Luffy, obviously he's gonna be their enemy. So he just promises to make them enemies of the state. And then there's like a party with the villagers excited Arlong's gone, and Nojiko's talking to a little kid from earlier that wanted Arlong dead, and he says something that I think is very important when she says like, why aren't you mad anymore? The kid says, we can't forget about the past, but now it's really up to us what happens. There's no one to blame our problems on anymore. We can succeed or fail. Like, he's just saying like, now that we got our freedom, there's only one person, or there's only like this group that we can blame for all of our problems. So,
there you go. He was fighting it. There you
go. He's just like, there's this one group that we can blame all our problems on. Now we have to take accountability for ourselves. Now that we have our freedom, we have to, because that's all freedom does, is you have freedom so that you can achieve, like you can do what you're responsible for.
Exactly.
That's what freedom's for.
And the other side, the nihilistic side, won't want you to be free because it stops them from achieving what they want, which is full nihilism. No freedom. Y'all don't get to do things.
Yeah,
y'all don't get to have fun.
He's basically just saying that thanks to our freedom, we can achieve what we need, but we have to also take responsibility.
Yep.
Which the Ubermensch is something that he says, Zarathustra says, is that the Ubermensch will force you to take responsibility for your actions. Because the last man doesn't want to take responsibility for his actions.
They avoid accountability.
Yeah. And then,
which is definitely what Arlong was doing.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. This dude was avoiding accountability of everything. He didn't even want to avoid the accountability that his teeth hurt himself. Real last man-ish.
Yeah, so I think we should just start calling them last bitches. Because the last men are bitches. But, so, he says that, and it cuts to Nami, and she's just like, she's with the doctor, and the doctor's like, we can't remove all the tattoo probably. So she's just like, well, how about we just get a new tattoo? And we don't know what it says or what it is.
You don't know what it is?
No, like, we don't see it until late.
Yeah,
we don't know until later in the episode.
Yeah.
But it turns out it's the combination of a tangerine and a pinwheel.
Yep.
And we learn why Genzo has the pinwheel, or had the pinwheel.
It was for them.
It was for Nami, because Genzo scared Nami when she was a baby. And so the pinwheel was to make it to where she would look at Genzo without getting scared. Yep. Yeah. And so it was basically a thing to comfort Nami. Yeah, so now that Nami has comforted him, it's like they're circle. Even. He doesn't need it anymore.
Full circle.
So you could see it like what's it called? You can see the tattoo as a metaphor because the pinwheel is a cycle, and then the tangerine is a symbol of rejuvenation. So she's rejuvenating. So she's rejuvenating. Yeah. And it's thanks to Luffy, she was able to start the cycle of rejuvenation for her village. So you can look
at, because even in Arlong's symbol, it's a swirl with Arlong's face on it.
With the swordfish, yeah.
So when you look at that, you know, that was Arlong continuing his cycle of hatred. But when she breaks out of that...
Or a cycle of consumption.
Consumption is...
Because he's consuming the freedom
but of still, others. Like, we end the Arlong cycle, we end that, and then she starts the new cycle with the cycle of rejuvenation with the pinwheel and the tangerines. So it's almost like her, like, reestablishing her dream and her will, you know, what she wants to do in life, which still... It's like an
expression of freedom.
Yeah.
Like, it's her marking that she's free.
Her becoming
that, like, what's it? She's or not. Ubermensch, but her like consigning herself to following the Ubermensch. Because what's it called? To become a follower of the Ubermensch, you kind of have to become a camel. That's just like based on how like Zarathustra describes it. Because you have to take up other people's dreams too to follow the Ubermensch. Yeah, so you can see like everyone in the crew is slowly becoming like the camel.
Yeah.
To like make way for Luffy to transcend the camel and slowly become the lion.
They would have to become like get on that same page. And we see that later. I understand. We see that later.
Like when they all learn, like when the boys learn hockey and everything. Yeah.
Not even just that. I would even go to like Thriller Bark when they first acknowledged that Luffy's been the camel this whole time and we suck. So we got to do better. Like them saying they have to do better.
And
but we'll get there.
After we or the scene that we see what Nami's new tattoo is, she runs past all the villagers because she doesn't want to give them a chance to say thank you and say goodbye. And it turns out that she just pickpocketed everyone on her way.
Wait, I ain't gonna lie.
It's just a good moment.
It's a good moment. When I first watched through, I thought it was pretty crazy until I had to remember that she kind of left over 11 million or more than that.
No, she left 100 million.
Yeah, there. She left 100 million, the whole 100 million for them, like with a note. So I was like, hey, she just left all that. It's kind of all she did was pickpocket y'all little cash, but y'all straight for a while. Y'all ain't got nothing to worry about for a while.
Well, also, you can see that as like her. It's like her saying that she's still Nami. Like it's her showing them that she's still Nami.
And like even in the next scene when Usopp mentions to her like, "Oh, Nami, now that you don't have to save up money to buy Kokoyashi Village anymore, you don't have to be, hard about money." And she was like, "No, I'm still hard about money.
Yeah,
it's not.
Now I'm saving for me.
Yeah, I'm saving for me now." Like
she no longer has to carry those people on her back, so now she wants to help Luffy carry his dreams, sort of thing.
Yeah,
and that's why she needs money.
Of course, because she said herself, she's not going to be those broke pirates that can't even afford to dress up.
And then we get a cut to the Marines talking, and they're just like, "Look, this straw hat Luffy.
Yeah,
he's been beating people we couldn't get a hold of. He beat Arlong, Buggy, Krieg. What should his bounty be?" And they're like arguing about the first time bounty.
And even what's crazier, I find it hella hilarious that the Marines didn't even mention Kuro.
That's because they think he's dead, remember?
But
we see that they know that he's not dead later, which makes it weird.
But they don't know that Luffy was there enough to mention it. Yeah. They didn't know.
Yeah, they don't.
That's crazy. That's how useless Kuro was.
Yeah. Just shows that out of the back attacks, gay as fuck.
Still.
And that stupid pussyfoot maneuver.
Nah.
The pussyfoot maneuver is just running away, dog. Don't lie to me.
I just thought it was so funny how he's still like.
So we see Luffy gets his first bounty. It's like the first time bounty that's ever been that big.
Yep.
Or the first one in years. We don't know
and
which one.
And it's the highest one in the East Blue. They end up saying.
Yeah. And then we get a line from the Marines, which I think is a good thing to show, like, that they're supposed to be the people that protect the last men. Because we don't know what rank the guy is that's yelling to the new recruits. But he says, "We are the bastion of peace in this world, and weakness will not be tolerated. The feeble public counts on us. We alone are the righteous ones. If there is evil on these seas, then we, the Marines, must drive it away with the utmost prejudice in the name of absolute peace." Because, like, you don't want peace. Like, the Ubermensch doesn't want peace.
Nope.
Because that's not what he's after. Like, because to live life, then you have to assume that you're going to lose a certain amount of peace to be, like, fully living life. You have to assume that it's not peace. The last man wants peace because peace is just, in a nutshell, peace is just it's just you avoiding hardship for the most part.
Yeah.
And the Ubermensch is all about
challenge.
Yeah, it's all about overcoming hardship.
Yep.
the last man's risk averse. So he's basically just giving a speech on how the public needs to be absolutely risk averse, which the Ubermensch isn't like that. He's 0% risk. He's all risk all day.
Don't care about the reward. It's
and that's
risk
Luffy.
all day.
Yeah, that's Luffy personified.
Like we would say high risk, high reward. He say risk, okay. Reward, okay. But risk.
Well, like it's the risk for the reward that the Ubermensch after.
But the size of the reward don't matter.
Well, it does, because like it always matters. No. Like it matters because like the thing for winning the risk is always massive. Because like we're not saying like a risk like gamble like all on black. Yeah. We're talking about like risk your life to save someone. It's always worth more.
Worthy techniques, like worthy things, like right. Like correct me if I'm wrong.
Like it's not just like being risk adverse. It's like to live life to its fullest. You're always taking a risk.
Yeah.
That's why the last man doesn't live life to the fullest, because he refuses to take that risk. That's what it's like. Like the Ubermensch is always willing to risk it for the greatest version of life possible for everybody.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so that's.
But he also doesn't shy away from the risk.
Yeah, he doesn't shy away from it. He takes it. He takes it wholeheartedly. Yeah, but the last man just refuses the risk altogether.
That's a lot.
Luffy
that's
thinks
to think about.
Getting a bounty is great. He's awesome. He starts dancing and gets all excited.
Yeah, versus like Nami and the rest of the crew. Like, dude, you're known now. Like, people gonna be after us. What's wrong with you? No, people know me. I'm ready for it. He's
like, dude, I need a bounty to be king of the pirates. And that goes back into to live life to his fullest now. He has to constantly risk the fact that he's going to have someone after him. And then he runs in a full body from a couple weeks ago. Well, actually, last week's episode, full body was there. He runs in a full body. Full body's like, I'm about to catch this punk. I got him. Let's go. And then it's just like, oh, that wasn't a fluke that happened. And then he just beats full body without even fighting full body.
Yep.
And then we see Mihawk going to an island, and we're just like, why do we see Mihawk here?
This the Shanks flashback?
Yeah. Well, it's not even a flashback. It's him.
It's the reference. The Shanks
delivering the bounty
poster.
Yeah. To Shanks. And Mihawk says something to Shanks along the lines like, because Shanks is acting all tough at first, and he's just like, what, you here for another rematch? Which makes it imply that, like, Shanks has won. They're, like, if they've had the fights before, like, it implies that they're
Shanks has won.
Even. Like, that they're, like, Shanks has won at least once, is what it implies.
But also, like, Mihawk's the one asking for the matches.
Yeah, so since Mihawk would be he thinks Mihawk is asking for a match, it implies that he's up one.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't say for sure, but it implies that Shanks is up one.
Yeah, because you wouldn't ask for a rematch unless you're down.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, I can think of some examples, like, just because you want to prove.
Like, not chivalry, but honor-bound examples. Like, somebody who, we had this fight, but I got to give you this rematch because it'd feel better if we had the rematch. But the way Shanks did it, it made it look like
it implies that he beat him last time.
Because dude just walk up on you that you just beat, that you fight all the time. First thing you would assume too, oh, what, you want another rematch, bro? Like, come on, man.
And then Mihawk says, since you lost your arm, you're not worth it.
You're not even worthy of fighting him anymore.
But that was like almost 10 years ago at that point.
Yeah.
Because Luffy, they take the time to call Luffy a man.
Right.
And the story takes place, it starts when Luffy's like 16, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like 16 or 17 when it starts. I think he's 16 though. He might be 15. But I know he's in that age range. So it's been a while because he was like, I think he was 6 when he meets Ace, and he meets Shanks before he meets Ace. So he was like 5 when he met Shanks. So it's been about 10 years since he's seen Shanks. So he's lost his arm for 10 years, and so Mihawk saying it like that is kind of weird. Like he's been, like, it implies that he's been searching for Shanks for a while. It also implies that, like, something with the one arm. Like, it kind of implies that with one arm, Shanks won. Because it's been 10 years.
I can definitely see it.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's not worth the risk to have, like, one on you with no arm. Is how it makes it sound when he says you're not worth it. It doesn't sound like he's saying beating you's not worth it. Because Shanks one of the 4 emperors at that moment.
When he asks him about the rematch, it does imply that Shanks already won. But when Mihawk comes back and says you have one arm, it's like you're not worth it. It's almost like that rematch he doesn't even want, because he doesn't even feel like Shanks could give him his full power like he used to.
Like because it's been 10 years, it makes me think that he's known he didn't have the arm for a while, so he wouldn't. So it sounds more like it's not that it's not worth it in the vacuum. It's that it's not worth the risk it entails. Like like if he loses all of his standing. Yeah.
His status what it makes it sound like he lost to a dude with one arm in a sword battle. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
That's what it makes it sound. It sounds like not only did Shanks win when he had one arm, but it makes it sound like there's a high chance he wins with one arm, or it doesn't imply that he won with one arm. It implies that Mihawk sees him as being so strong that the loss of his reputation from losing to a man with one arm isn't worth the risk.
Yeah. 100%.
Which just shows like how strong Shanks is. Like the implication there is that Shanks is so much stronger than everybody we've seen up to this point.
Yeah.
Like if Mihawk's just like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Because
I can see that.
Because Mihawk's just like, he thought Zoro wasn't worth it, but then he finds out like Zoro's gonna be strong when he finally gets his shit together.
He was able to see that just off fighting him for that first time, so that does give that a lot of merit, because you can imagine Shanks and Mihawk has fought more than just once.
Yeah, they have to be on a similar power level.
So think about it, like I can even equate it to like Sasuke losing his arm, and why Naruto and them like kind of stopped.
But we know like Naruto's significantly stronger than Sasuke.
Yeah, we know for at that point, like by a long shot. But for Shanks and Mihawk purposes, I'll look at it like Mihawk looking at Shanks like, bro, you strong when you had 2 arms. I know you still strong with 1 arm, and me finding you 1 arm, I just don't feel like you said, it wouldn't be worth him losing his reputation, even try it, but even go a step further and say, bro, I don't even want to see how strong you are without it, type thing. Like doing it both ways. Like, yeah, I don't want to lose my reputation, but me seeing you, I'm used to seeing you fight a certain way. I wouldn't even want to see a down version of you fight, like in that honor aspect.
Yeah, it also implies that like Shanks' fighting style doesn't need the other arm.
Yeah, because he changed it seamlessly almost, but it's been about 10 years. We don't know how much he worked on it after that.
Well, it could also be because we don't know what his fighting style looked like before he lost his arm.
Shit, we don't really know what his fighting style looked like for real.
We just know that he's one of the greatest swords user, and is one of the strongest hockey users. That's what
he's the strongest hockey user. No, verbatim, he's the strongest hockey user.
Well, I say
at the point in the story now, it's one of.
We don't know like what Emu's like true power set, if that's hockey or something. That's why I'm just saying one of. But like, so the whole time, like without an arm, he's and he's not training. He's just going so like Mihawk implies that Shanks is stronger than him, or at least they're super close, which I think is just makes it even crazier that he puts all this faith in Luffy on Luffy becoming like he thinks Luffy actually like he's one of, if not the strongest person in canon, right? And he thinks Luffy is one of the most worthy as a little fucking kid, as like a 6 or 7 year old. Actually, I think he's like 5 when he meets Shanks.
Young as fuck.
Yeah, like just drinking orange juice at a bar type kid. Yep. He thinks that person is the closest to being worthy of his mentor's goal.
Yep.
And that I think that just like that implication there just gives a lot. And also like he was willing to give up an arm for this kid that he hadn't known for very long.
Right.
He just thinks he's the most likely to be like Gold Roger. He thinks he's the person that has the best chance of doing it as a little kid. Like, and he doesn't even get that mad when he eats the devil fruit.
Just
so,
more
like,
surprised.
he thinks something is special about this kid. So, if the person that learned from the original almost Ubermensch thinks there's something special about you, it implies that there's something very special about you.
Facts.
It's like what I'm getting at with this whole little... It's not really
the Mihawk
TJ,
thing.
it's just,
Yeah, no, I understand.
it just shows that, like, one of the strongest people in the One Piece universe thinks Luffy's is like, it shows, like, before he thought he was special enough to lose his arm, but now we get the context of how special we've seen in the story so far that could, like, one shot all over heroes, like, without even trying.
But even, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it could even, the parallel is immaculate between how Luffy put his faith in, Shanks put his faith in Luffy versus how later on, of course, Mihawk even put some of his faith in Zoro.
Yeah, he trains Zoro
but
and
even
everything.
for later on, like, that's a good case for when someone's saying who really is the right-hand man of the Straw Hats, because a lot of people would say it's Sanji, or I say it's Zoro.
Well, no,
and that's like even,
what's it called? Sanji doesn't consider Luffy his best friend, but post-time skip Zoro considers Luffy his best friend. Because it's like the first person he took the time to become friends with since Kuina.
Yep.
Even though him and Kuina aren't really friends.
They're more rivals, but...
But there's a certain of
based off
camaraderie
friendship.
between friends. Yeah.
Like,
but it's like... But yeah, I just think it's like a cool little thing. Like, it's just... We see how strong Mihawk is. Like, he's the strongest person we've seen so far. And then we get confirmation that Shanks is somewhere near his level. And then Shanks puts so much faith in Luffy. And remember, he didn't know Luffy now. He knew Luffy as a little kid. Yep. And he's just like, there's something special about this kid. I hope he becomes a pirate. I hope he sells the primordial chaos of the sea.
Because what Luffy did to win over Shanks was he basically, every promise he made, he kept. I'm going to become a great pirate. I'm going to sail the seas. I'm going to be a great line. And even on Zoro.
Well, it's not just he kept it. Like, he had no way of keeping it as a 6-year-old. But he said it with such conviction and such purpose that Shanks is just like, this crazy little kid might fucking do it.
So how we on the topic of parallel, take that and spin it with Zoro and Mihawk. How did Zoro win over Mihawk? His skill and his testament of strength with his skill.
Well, it wasn't just, remember, it's Zoro wouldn't take no for an answer, so Mihawk finally has to just go.
His dedication, determination.
He finally just has to go. Damn it, I guess I'm stuck.
But he also says that, someone as strong as you hasn't come around in a while. That's why I put his skill in the mix. Because he wouldn't have just... If his skill was subpar, I feel like Mihawk wouldn't have gave him that. But the fact that his skill was somewhat decent... Because that's what you say, going against the strongest one. Well, also,
he's in the weakest part of the world, too.
Well, yeah.
So for someone... So it might not be that someone with Zoro's potential comes around. It could be that someone with Zoro's potential from the East Blue is weird.
Yeah. No, that's true.
So, but I think it's just like something though that's worth pointing out that so we know Shanks is the strongest pirate at that point. Like 100, we know. Well, okay, we don't know that he's stronger than Whitebeard,
right?
Because we don't even know who Whitebeard is. But like in that time frame, Shanks and Mihawk's the strongest people
that we've seen.
Mihawk implies Shanks is at least near his level. So that tells us, just shows that he puts his absolute faith in Luffy. It just shows, how special Luffy's character is. Like, his character, not like he's the character Luffy, but the strength of his actual character is.
I like it.
So, I just thought it's something meaningful.
No, definitely. That was good.
Shanks learns, or, what's it called? Mihawk tells Shanks that I'm not here to fight you. I just want to show you this because you told me there's a boy that you gave your straw hat to.
And you met him.
Yeah, and I met him, and he's like, I think he even says, you said there was something special about that boy. And so he shows him, and Shanks is just like, oh my God, this is awesome. You're drinking with us whether you want to or not.
Yep.
And the implication is Mihawk, how he says it, is Mihawk doesn't normally drink, but Shanks is forcing him to drink.
Mihawk doesn't normally socialize. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing. I don't even think it got to do with drinking. I think he's just not a sociable person.
But Mihawk
Forced him
respects Shanks enough to sit
It's
and
the-
drink with him.
It's the classic extrovert pulls in the introvert type thing, which
Yeah.
I found that was cool. Like, but only Shanks. I feel like only Shanks could have did that.
Like Whitebeard maybe too, but like it's like one of those things. It's just he respects Shanks so much that he's like, "Fuck it, I'll do it,"
Right.
sort of thing. But it just shows how special Luffy is, that the strongest person or one of the strongest people in the verse have that much friggin' faith in your ability, and I just think it's worth pointing out.
Yeah, because at that point, like, of course, Shanks represents the place Luffy's trying to be, of course.
Yeah.
And for him to pretty much be proud of Luffy in that moment, to have somebody that's on the same par in his atmosphere that's looking at Luffy. Yeah, that is a big
Especially because Luffy made a big enough impact on
Yeah.
Mihawk to be like, so Mihawk's just like, you got a point, there is something special about that kid. It's like how it comes off, and you're just like, ooh, nice. You know what I mean?
Spicy.
Like, that's a good point, dog. Sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And then we cut to Windmill Village. The mayor finds out about it, and he says, somebody says, "Isn't it great that he's achieved his dream?" The barkeep, I can't remember her name, and he goes, "Is it?" He says, "His dream or fate?" And I just thought that was a really good line, because it's almost like everyone in Windmill Village is on the same page as Shanks. Like they're pretty sure like Luffy's gonna accomplish it, sort of thing, just because of how strong his convictions are. And it's just a good little character piece for Luffy. The Straw Hats set sail for Log Town.
Yep.
It's the place, the birthplace and the death
Roger.
place of Goldie Roger. And I thought it was a good little thing. Its nickname is the City of the Beginning and End, because it's the beginning and the end of the King of the Pirates.
Starts at the
also
Grand Line, and of course, in order to finish the sail, you have to sail all the way back around.
Yeah.
But it's also a play on Roger. You know, he was born there, and he also died there.
Also, here's a little interesting thing that I thought was cool. Log isn't a word that was made up for the show.
Right.
Like, it's the latter part of dialogue.
Yep.
Like, it's that version of log. And it means, in, like, Latin, it means, like, the word. So it's, like, the place where the word of...
Yep.
It's the place... It's literally Word City, or you could see it as
Word
the
town.
word of the king of the... Like, the story of the king of the pirate town.
It's a look, especially when you put it like that. There's so many ways you could look at that. Because beginning and end, of course, Roger was born there and died there. The pirate era itself was born there when Roger died there. The King of the Pirates died there, and thus born the pirate era.
Well, or it's not necessarily him dying. It's him saying, I didn't want my treasure anymore. You guys have it.
Yeah.
So.
The end of his era, beginning of a new era.
Yeah.
And there's another.
Then it's beginning of the Straw Hat era.
Yeah, beginning of the Straw Hat era. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going
And
with that.
the almost end of the Straw Hat era.
Quote unquote.
I just thought it was cool because I was just like, is that like the same as in dialogue? So I looked it up. Apparently it's like Latin. And it means something similar to word in Greek. But it's where the word, it comes from the word logos, which is the Greek word for,
Logic.
word for the word. No, logos means the word in Greek.
I was logic and passion was
Yeah.
the easiest way I remember them.
Yeah, but it's literally town of the word, which is just town of the word. What's the word? The beginning and the end of the King of the Pirates journey, which
Also,
I just thought
like,
that was a good little.
You can look at it too if you take the word pirate and look at it, because that's where, because they mention it in the bartender we'll get to later. He mentions how pirates came soon as Roger did that. How the pirates who just had a ship called themselves pirates, and they started. So how the pirate word itself even got the definition changed and took
Get
on a
co-opted by weaklings.
Yeah.
And not just like people that are physically weak, but people that are mentally weak. That's what that barkeep didn't like. He didn't like all these mentally weak guys.
Right.
And then, upon arriving, Luffy immediately sets off to find the platform that Roger was executed on.
Yep.
Luffy's arrival spurs a Marine captain named Smoker who ate the Plume Plume fruit. And Smoker's a very interesting character. Like, he's the first member of the Marines that we've seen that's not a piece of shit. Like, he's a legitimately good dude.
Yeah.
Like, him getting suited up and walking out, a little girl runs into him. And most Marines would be like, yeah, your dad's going to jail. Like all the Marines we've met so far.
Yeah, they're shitty like that.
And he just goes, I'm so sorry that you spilled it running into me.
Because at
then
this point,
tries to buy her even more ice cream than what got spilled.
Yeah.
It's like.
Because what? Axeham Morgan, full body. You can even throw Helmeppo, a little quirky self in there. Kobe. Don't tell me. The
Nezumi?
dickhead pube face.
Yeah.
Him. Then I said full body already, and I think there's one more.
That's all the names we got before Smoker.
Yeah, that's all the named ones. But all those guys before literally.
Well, Kobe wasn't bad.
But Kobe's a weakling though.
Yeah.
Like, not the same thing as Smoker. That's why I mentioned.
But he's
Kobe.
also only like 9 or some shit when he meets.
And he kind of just got named a Marine at the end of that we saw. He actually became a Marine in the flashback. So I'll take Kobe off. But full body, Helmeppo, Axe Hand, and Dick Face Pube guy. Yeah, all those guys literally exact same personality.
Well, like they're very similar. They're all corrupt. But Smoker's not corrupt. Like, he has an ideal. Like, he's not doing it for that. It's just, he actually, like, he full-heartedly believes in protecting people.
Yep.
It's not for the, like, everybody else is just like, oh, I'm going to use my position as a Marine to make money or do this or that.
I also found it very interesting that they used the dude for the town of beginning and end, the dude who's over it, to be a smoke user. Because watching dreams flop and smoke, they call it smoke in the mirrors and stuff like that. I thought that was interesting. Small detail, but that was interesting nonetheless.
But it's cool that we see a Marine that's not a piece of shit.
Right.
So the Marines, so you could see it as the Marines co-opt those with good ambitions, like people that want to help people, and then pervert that into becoming the last. Like, they trick people into thinking that the last man is the actual good thing that we want. And so it's like one of those things, like, you can easily get a good man to fall for it.
Easily.
Yeah. And then we meet his apprentice, because it turns out the Smoker's not just a devil fruit user, but he's actually like a master swordsman. But he doesn't even use a real sword, which makes it even funnier. It has a name, I can't remember it, but it's a weapon designed specifically to disarm samurais.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name.
I can't think of the name. But he's a master swordsman with that, and he's training another legitimately good person in the Marines. So it's like, who looks exactly like Kuina. Kuina, my bad.
No, you good.
Like, looks like they could be twins, sort of thing. So
as soon as
she
took them glasses off. But
it's just cool to see Marines that are actually good people
for the first time.
Yeah, because every other time we've just seen every Marine that we've met
greedy,
is corrupt,
self-centered,
or every named Marine has been corrupt.
Yeah, greedy, self-centered. Corrupt.
Like, because when we run into Full Body again, he complains that he's not able to use his power and influence to get free shit.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So, like,
yep.
It's just a good, like, thing to see that there's actually good Marines. I personally think it's a good touch to show that, like, the last man can take even good people and twist their beliefs to make bad things happen. Like, to trick people into, like, going after things that sound good on paper, sort of thing. And then Luffy can't find the platform, but he finds a bar called Gold Roger.
Yep, Bar Gold Roger.
And not Gold D Roger, like
just
everything.
Gold Roger.
Yeah, because it's like Lockdown mess up the name. I wonder if it's because, like, it could be like one of those things like they didn't know, or they want to pretend like that it's Like, it could be like one of those things like that Oda just changed his mind about later, sort of thing.
No, see, like one of the later Roger flashbacks, like, Roger says that they messed up his name. And
I get that, but I'm saying like at that point.
Yeah, at that point, they probably
like it's like Oda couldn't have, because we know the reason that his name is Goal and then space D is because that's where his family name is the D part, but like that could have not been.
We know the D
plan, but we don't know.
Share.
Or it could just be because it sounds cooler to say Gold Roger on everything, but I don't know.
In real stuff, like he doesn't have a D on the goal. Like they took the D and moved it. That's what the explanation was.
I haven't seen like the early stuff from because this is like from 2004.
Yeah, but like when they give you more flashbacks of Roger, they kind of do that.
Yeah, like
it's not.
But the reason I put is because like it could just be a problem on Crunchyroll. But even when they like do the intro and everything for like the first episode, it's Gold Duh, not Gold D. Yeah. So I don't know if it like he just changed, because Gold D does sound better than Gold Duh.
Yeah, like the D becomes way more important later.
Yeah, so I just don't know if it just because I don't read his version of the Daizenshu. Also, unrelated, but JJK just released their version of Daizenshu.
Oh, really?
So everyone should go buy it.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they announced it like yesterday.
I need that.
I saw that. Yeah.
Bro, I've been waiting on that. You know how much questions I got on freaking JJK?
Yeah. Shonen Jump just released the character guide.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go buy it next paycheck.
Hey, I'm finna scour the internet, see if I can find some leaks. Might not, but can't hurt to try.
Luffy reminds the old barkeep of Goldie Roger, and him and Luffy have a drink of milk because Luffy doesn't drink alcohol, and toast to Roger and what he left behind. What's it called? Luffy can't find the thing still, and he runs into Smoker, and Smoker doesn't know what Luffy looks like. But he's just like, Smoker's just like, there's something special about that kid. And Luffy's just like, hey, man, where's the platform?
Even the bartender saw it.
Yeah,
when he walked in there, because that's when they gave that speech about how the pirates are weak now. None of them have the mental to really go. They come here and let the Marines run them off, and
like
he looks over and sees that.
They're not gold.
He sees that silhouette of Roger over Luffy because he's saying the same thing. He might actually have the conviction, and then, like you say, he meets Smoker. Don't even know who he is. Like
there's something special about that kid. Or he says, "Man." Because he's calling.
Hey, where's the execution platform? Literally points him in the direction.
Follow the smoke.
Didn't even know. Oh, that kid with straw hat Luffy. Now he running off to go find him.
And then another thing that's cool, when we see Smoker's flashback to seeing the Gold Roger's execution.
Yep.
He's a kid. There's Gold Roger walks, like how the scene is shot is the sun's right above the platform, so he walks into the sun.
Walks into the sun.
So it's dawn. like Goldie Rat was also the archetype of the sun, and he is the king of the pirates. So he's the archetype of the king, and
named.
He's the fully evolved version of what Luffy's trying to be, and it's just a good little thing there that shows like this is where Luffy's after, and it reinforces the whole sun archetype thing and everything.
And then when you think about that,
it confirms it.
When you think about that, in the same fact that he literally went into the same bar that the dude he was talking to heard, like Roger told him, "Hey, I'm going to the Grand Line tomorrow."
It was the thing before. Like the trip before he went to the Grand, just like this is for Luffy.
Yeah.
It's his stop before going to the Grand Line.
For taking that step. But for Roger, that was literally like him deciding at the same point. For Luffy, he'd already decided before he got there. But for Roger, because Roger was born there, it was him saying he's leaving. So the first real step.
And then, what's it called? Smoker finds out who Luffy is, sees him on the platform. He's just like, get off the platform. You're under arrest.
Yep.
You're coming with me.
Yep.
Luffy's just like, no, I'm not. I'm staying on the platform. They fight. Smoker tells him, well, you can't go to the Grand Line unless you beat me. And Luffy's just like, bet. So he tries to fight him.
When we first see
Luffy gets launched. He crashes. He's just like, oh, well, where'd the smoke guy go? Whatever. And he just takes a nap in the middle of like a friggin' square.
Yep.
Which is pretty funny. Because he accidentally launches himself. It's not something Smoker did. He's like stuck inside Smoker's smoke. And then he tries to escape and launches himself over some buildings. Luffy crashes, takes a nap, tries to find the platform again. Takes him a minute. He finds it, climbs to the top, and it creates a ruckus. So Smoker knows where he is now.
Again.
Buggy shows up. Well, first Alvida shows up and starts hitting on him. He's just like, who is this lady? And it's just like, I'm Alvida. He's just like, no, you're not. You're not Alvida.
Alvida's fat and ugly.
He was like, Alvida's ugly. No, he probably thinks she's ugly too, just because he has a very particular taste in woman, dude, and it's not even what she looks like.
I don't even think they've said what Luffy's taste in women is.
It's she can cook. Like, we know that because that's why fair. He likes Hancock, right? Like, why he's friends with him. Yeah, like why she's friends with. Like, he doesn't like her in like a sexual way or anything. It's purely platonic. But he's a big fan of Hancock because she makes good food.
Yeah, she felt the hell because out of she gonna make sure Luffy eat.
She She learns to cook specifically because she fell in love with Luffy.
And like, I'm talking about by the droves of food, like not no little things. She cooking 50-course meals.
She's cooking dinosaurs, dog.
Like everything.
But like Alvida, like has a crush on Luffy now because of his convictions, because she's just like, I need a man with strong convictions. Like, that's the only man that could ever make me fall for them. And then,
which is crazy when you really think about, she didn't have no real convictions for real when she first got introduced.
Yeah, except for that she doesn't want to hear that she's ugly.
Yeah,
it's like her motivation.
That's so crazy. Now, if you're talking about a plot hole, that's a personality hole. I don't think we wouldn't call that a plot because we don't do nothing for the plot. But yeah, she's like a personality disorder thing.
I only like strong
out of character.
And Luffy's the only strong man I've met, sort of thing.
In the East Blue, that says a lot.
And then Buggy shows up, captures Straw Hat, and they try to execute him
on the exact same platform that Roger got killed on.
Yeah, and then there's an unusual storm starts brewing.
Yep.
Because everyone like comments like, this is weird. What happened? Like Nami even says the barometric pressure dropped. I've never seen a storm act like this before.
Yep.
And Buggy's just like, any last words? And Luffy just smiles and goes, I'm gonna be king of the pirates. Right as Buggy's trying to execute him. And Luffy just accepts his perceived death with a smile.
Yep.
And it has a profound, Smoker's just like, he just smiled.
Like, just what? Like Roger.
Yeah. Like, that's actually what he's just like, Roger did the exact same thing. He just smiled and took it. Because, like, he's going after his dream. He has no regrets.
Which also, like, spins when we talk about the Ubermensch, just how far does his fearlessness go? It's not even afraid of death. It's like, I love that. Like, about the Ubermensch, like, be showing fearlessness through all like obstacles, even upon death itself. He doesn't show fear.
Well, it's not even show. It's like, it was gonna happen anyway. No big deal.
Well, come on, the average person. The average person up there on that thing. Yeah, but
what I'm saying is, like, it's not just a fear. Like, it's not just that he doesn't
it runs
have a fear.
Deeper.
It's not that he doesn't care. It's that he lived his life in such a way that it doesn't matter to him that he died. Because it's not just a note that he doesn't have a fear of death. It's that he accepts it and that death isn't an obstacle to overcome like it is for everyone else. Life is his obstacle to overcome.
If there's
so he
any
can
one
accept
thing
death.
in the world that somebody would be afraid of, it's death.
Yeah, like most people, it's death. But
That's what I'm getting at.
but I'm saying like it's even crazier in this case because he's not just unafraid of death.
Yeah,
It's
you're right.
He's it's almost like he's cool with it because he doesn't see death as the obstacle like a normal human does.
But if you've ever asked a question as to why the hell Luffy just walks around like he doesn't care, if you tell me that this same dude looked at death and smiled like Roger did, it makes sense.
Yeah.
For everything that he's about to do going forward, with this one fact, it makes sense.
And then, as he's swinging his sword down, Buggy gets struck by a bolt of lightning.
Yep.
It collapses the platform. And it's so weird how the storm perfectly does everything the Straw Hats needed to. Like, it stops Mojiki and, what's it called? From burning down the ship.
Yeah.
Because that's how Buggy tried to trap him. The rain makes it harder for Smoker's powers to work.
Yep.
The lightning bolt hits Buggy right before he can hit Luffy. It's very convenient. Let's just put it that way. And also, the winds are pointing in the same direction as the Grand Line. That's another thing. The winds are blowing towards the Grand Line. So when they finally get on the ship and raise the sails, it would blow them. The fastest way they could go is in the direction of the Grand Line, which is super convenient.
Very convenient. Like, everything worked out exactly as the way it was supposed to. A 1 in a million chance of something like that actually happening.
Probably like 1 in a trillion, honestly. Yeah. And then we see...
It's not like we can predict lightning strikes.
We see on a roof a weird, mysterious, hooded man with a tattoo on his face. I wonder who he is. Said no one.
No idea. But what I will say, though, I found it to be cool that he wore a green cloak because it's almost like Luffy's green light to go.
That's true. Well, also, like, we'll get into that because it is like that. And then we hear, like, somebody thinking about a Gold Roger quote. Yep. And he says, "Destiny, fate, dreams. These unstoppable ideals are held deep in the heart of man. As long as there are people who seek freedom in this life, these things shall not vanish from the earth." Ooh. That's super ubermensch.
Super ubermensch.
And it's like how Luffy lives his life. So I thought it was
100%. That is definitely how Luffy lives his life. Can't complain about that.
And then the hooded figure says, "The Pirate King, fine by me." And it's just like, so is he stalking Luffy or something?
Creeper.
And then Smoker easily captures Buggy and Alvito, like, no diffs them.
And it says it's crazy because it took him a while. Well, really, he struggled against Luffy. And Buggy is supposed to be experienced at this point. Like, he's supposed to have more experience in the field than Luffy does. You think he would know to stay away from that guy or at least how to evade him. But no, he gets one captured. Like, Smoker didn't have any type of difficulty catching the most experienced ones here. But we see, that's kind of supposed to happen.
And then, like, while Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro are trying to get back to the Going Merry, Smoker catches up to him and it's just like, "Didn't I tell you that to get to be worthy of going to the Grand Line, you have to be able to defeat me?" And Luffy's just like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I do need to fight you. You guys go on ahead. I'll fight him real quick." And it's just like, just shows like how Luffy is. Very much so. You got to do things the right way.
Yep.
Because that's what matters to him more than doing the thing.
Doing
like,
the
he's
thing
not.
In general, he cares more about doing it the right way than
like,
doing it at all.
Like, he has to do it the right way. And then, like, Luffy has absolutely no answers to Smoker's plume powers. Like, you can't touch him. He's completely out of his league here. You can't do really anything to him. All of his attacks just go through him. He can't get any offense start. So Smoker takes his sword off his back. Well, it's not really a sword, but I can't remember the name of the item. And he's getting ready to poke Luffy with it. because there's clearly something special about his sword. We'll find out later what that is. But the tattooed man grabs his arm before he can use his sword. And we learn the tattooed man is named Dragon.
Monkey D. Dragon.
Well, we just learned Dragon. We don't learn the monkey part yet. But, and then Luffy just barely makes it out of lockdown. He shoots himself like a slingshot out. And he feels kind of guilty for not being able to beat Smoker. You know, like in the back, he's like, man, I was able to beat Smoker. Damn. Which just like causes him to get stronger later, so it works out. We know Dragon has some connection to Luffy. We just don't know what it is at this point. Like, we know what it is, but the story hasn't told us what it is yet.
Correct.
And then the Straw Hats reaffirm their dream.
Yep.
Like, they have a thing where they put their feet on a barrel, and then they say their dreams to each other. We get Sanji wants to see the all blue. Luffy wants to be king of the pirates. Nami wants to chart the entire world. Zoro wants to be the greatest swordsman ever. And Usopp wants to be a great warrior of the sea.
Yep.
And it's just basically just shows like Luffy becoming the camel. Like, he's taking their dreams on his back. Because if he gets his dream, they get their dream.
You also thought it was interesting that they used a barrel, which was one of the first things we saw Luffy pop out of.
Yeah, that's true. That is the first thing we see him in.
So, back to reiterating their dreams, because he declared he was going to be king of the pirates out of a barrel. So they put their foot on a barrel. So stepping over that chapter that they just got out of, they stepped over their beginning. So now you can say they're kind of intermediate level pirates, not in strength, but like they're not novices anymore.
Well, they're still novices.
They're still rookies, but they're not green anymore.
Or they're less green.
Less green.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's less green.
And they also destroy the barrel. Remember, they kicked down on the barrel with their heels. So you could see that as a them saying, like, there's no going back from here.
Yeah.
Because the story started with the barrel.
Yep.
So that's probably the
East
best
Blue
thing to
ends
say.
with it. Yeah, that's a good circle.
Yeah.
It's a good full circle.
And then that's where the episode stopped for today, because 54 through 60 is filler, and
Just
I don't
like
think the filler will, especially like I started watching it and it didn't really do anything to help with the metaphor, and since Oda didn't write it, it can mess up his metaphor.
Yep.
So I didn't think, so we will not be covering the filler episodes in this, just because it might
Alter the metaphor for what we're trying to convey.
Yeah, it might destroy Oda's metaphor, like it kind of does in Naruto, because the people that wrote some of the filler in Naruto are way worse at storytelling.
Because the fillers, in case the audience doesn't know, it's literally only meant there just to keep the show going on TV. Like, it's none. You'll find no filler things in any mangas and stuff, and that's why a lot of animes now typically don't do it, because it doesn't bring anything to the story that really helps.
That's the reason, like, it existed back in the day, is because they didn't do seasons like they do now.
Oh no! Back in the day, it was a round the clock thing. Like, what you talking about? Season 1 only gonna air from April to June? No, boy, we going all the way around the clock. So fillers were used literally to just give those animators and storytellers a break from the actual story and do something that's literally not even important, to keep it on TV, to give the viewers something to watch. But yeah, that's it for this episode. I think we just did 36, 54.
Yeah, 36 through 54.
We're
Sorry about the
skipping
cough.
the 54 to 60, so I guess we'll pick up at 61 on the next
week.
go around.
So if anyone has any questions or anything, or has like some ways of looking at it that maybe we didn't see, or like want to challenge our thesis or something like that, like
comment away.
Yeah,
We've been waiting on it.
Yeah.
We've been trying to put a whole segment away just to read comments, but ain't nobody commenting yet. It's okay though.
Yeah, to answer questions is like if we get to the point where there's a lot of questions about stuff, that we'll just make videos where we answer the questions.
That would be better.
Yeah, that way people can see. And we'll do depending on the questions, 20 to 30 questions. Well, it's going to be in between 10 and 30 questions per episode, depending on how long they are. So yeah, so be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all next week for episode, or that will be part
3, right?
3 of the One Piece and Antidote to Nihilism.